So I've been playing classical piano for about almost 20 years now. And when I would perform and get ready for a performance, I would work on recovery skills maybe about 2 to 3 weeks before it was time. So that essentially means that I would run through a piece and no matter what happened, I wouldn't stop. So it doesn't matter if I made a mistake, it didn't matter what I did. I wouldn't stop and I would just train myself to keep going. So that way, when it's time to perform and I get on stage, and I'm not even saying if, when I mess up, because out of all the years I played, I don't think I can recall ever playing anything perfectly. It was always something. And then it will be something that I've never messed up before because of the nerves or the butterflies, but it's so important to work on those recovery skills. And it's a whole different way of practicing. Because if you don't prepare yourself for that, of course you want to play well and you want to tell yourself, I'm going to do great. And you don't want to, it doesn't really sound good telling yourself, I'm going to mess up. But the reality is that you probably are going to mess up and you want to practice and prepare yourself for that. And so, in doing that, when I went on stage, it kept me from getting flustered because, of course, you're going to have a memory slip if you memorize a piece. You might put your hands down in the wrong place, and you just got to be like, oh, snap, and just hurry up and fix it without anybody noticing. And if I don't train myself to do that, then what would happen is I may go on stage, and then if I do mess up, I would just go back to the beginning or go back to a section because that's what I did to practice. Because when you're practicing, you want to get it right. So if you mess up, you want to fix it and go back. But recovery skills is a whole different way to practice. And then I'm saying this because it reminded me of this YouTube video I watched about manifesting. And this woman basically said that when people manifest, they usually think of what they want or manifest, pray, whatever you do. You think of where you want to go. But they said when you manifest, you also want to think of the failures and you want to picture yourself continuing to persevere even when you fail. And I was like, that is so good because oftentimes you're like, oh, this is so close. I want this. I want this. And then as you're getting there, something happens or this disaster happens and you get really discouraged. But it's not realistic to think things are just going to go from point A to point B. Like if you're an author, so say you want to be a bestseller or get published. So when you manifest, picture yourself getting told no, but continuing to press anyway. If you're like a student and you're trying to graduate, picture yourself struggling and staying up all night to study. Well, hopefully not staying up all night and managing your time so you don't, but you know what I mean. But picture yourself getting through those hard times. And so I was thinking about that because I was thinking about how often sometimes I'd watch people or watch some other peers perform, or even I'd listen to auditions and the person would make a mistake on their instrument and they would just like stop and then go back to the beginning. And I'd sit there thinking, if they would have just kept going, nobody would have known that they messed up. And so, how often do we do the same thing when we're pursuing a goal or if we want something? Like, we get on a little bit of a down where we're kind of like, oh, and then just kind of stay stuck and don't get up and try. So, it's like you have to practice a different way, like not just going to classes, not just doing whatever you need to do, whatever certifications you need to do to prepare yourself, but also picturing yourself getting up from those failures. And that's a good way to train your brain to have grit and to keep going because there's a lot of people that are skilled that might be skilled at the same thing that you do. But what's really going to determine the level of success is your ability to have grit and to prepare yourself to keep on going, even when you have those downs. All right, that's all I wanted to share before I went to sleep. I hope you guys have a great week and happy manifesting.